Hello guys, a warm welcome to this session on the test taking mindset to score 750 plus on GMAT. I'm Piyush from GMAT Ways. I'm going to be your main host in the session today, and I'm really excited about this session today. So first of all, let me welcome all of you to this session. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, based on wherever you are. I'm sure a lot of you are joining this session to kind of understand what does it really take to score 750 on the test, and we are going to help you understand that right mindset from a test taking standpoint. Okay, so it's going to be a very exciting session today. I'm going to do something which is very complex. I'm going to help you actually understand how the GMAT scoring works and how does it impact your preparation. So I have a lot of complex information and a lot of unseen information that I'm going to present for the very first time to the users ever. You will probably not find this in-depth level of analysis on how the GMAT scoring really works in anywhere in the world. You will probably not find it, and I'm making that claim with 100% confidence. So what I'm gonna try today is to explain you something which is very complex in a simple fashion. Whether I'm able to do that or not is something only you will be able to tell. I'll definitely try my best to do so. So if you are just joined in, stay with me. You'll learn a lot about how the test really functions and where people go wrong with their mindset when they start to prepare. So it will be great to hear from you guys. Also, like, if you can hear me loud and clear, just say a yes in the chat here. And if anyone wants to go ahead, introduce themselves, please feel free to do so. Tell me more about where do you stand in your GMAT preparation today. What are the problem areas you have? If you have any questions around the test taking mindset, please feel free to ask me right now. I'll definitely take them up as we move forward in the session. And through this video, I have a target that I want to get to 100 likes. So I hope all of you will help us achieve. And obviously, I'm gonna do my best to get to that level. But I'm sure that you'll actually learn a lot from the session today about how the GMAT scoring works. What is the right test taking mindset to achieve that? Okay, so I have a comment from Soviet. He says, I'm right now at a 650 level. So Soviet, you will get to understand what is the 650 level actually signify on GMAT and what do you need to do in order to take your score to that 750 mark. Okay, so you'll definitely get to know that. And if you have anyone else has any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm going to keep this session short in terms of the number of slides that I'm going to present. I'm not going to do a lot of slides. I'll do more analysis rather on the slides. Basically, each slide we are going to spend a lot of time, understand things in depth basically. Okay, so we'll do that. So please feel free to ask your questions, guys. Let's keep it conversational, and please feel free to raise as many doubts as you want on the slides that I'm going to present, and I'll love to kind of clarify your queries. And I'm pretty sure that after this session you'll have a crystal clear understanding of how the GMAT functions. Okay, so I've done a lot of talked a lot about what is going to happen, set up the stage for it. Now, who am I? I'm basically Piyush. I'm going to be your host. I am a strategy consultant and co-founder of GMAT Viz. I've helped many people achieve their goal in life in terms of getting into top tier B schools. So I have 10 years of experience helping people get into top tier B schools. You think of Harvard, Wharton, Stanford, London Business School, INSEAD, any top B school. I've sent many people over there. So that's something which I've been doing for the last 10 years. As a student, I have prepared and taught as a teacher as well for both CAT and GMAT. So CAT is an Indian test, GMAT is a global test. I've prepared for both. I've taught for both. And what I'm going to share here is a mix of both the perspectives: the perspective of a student, the perspective of a teacher, the perspective of a data analyst as well, basically. And I've scored a 740 on GMAT in my very first attempt and a 99 percentile on CAT. And as I said, I like analyzing trends and coming up with strategies. So we'll talk about all of this. But just a quick intro about GMAT as well, because obviously we are doing a great job in helping students improve their scores and get to their dream B schools. So what is that we do in general? Like, we are world's only truly personalized GMAT course. When it comes to personalization using AI, we are truly using it to the core. So every GMAT student works with a personalized study plan. You get to know exactly what you need to do in the current week, which is completely personalized for you. This is not something which is given to everyone. Everyone has a different study plan, and you get real-time improvement modules in the course as well. So if you kind of perform poorly in some areas, the platform automatically adapts to your skill level. If you're very good in something, the platform automatically cuts down on the content that you need to go through that. It makes you run through those things faster, and all of it happens automatically in the platform. And every GMAT student also gets a dedicated mentor whom they can work with every 10 to 15 days. They can connect with their mentor, understand from them what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and how do they take their score to the next level. So that's the level of interaction that we have with our students. So you can connect with your mentors and actually get their advice. And every single student gets a mentor who helps them in understanding where they're headed. So if you want to check out our services, you can always try check it out. Give our free trial a try. And I'm pretty sure that you will actually get to see a lot of amazing detail in our course, a lot of amazing tech in our course, which you will not find elsewhere. So that was a quick intro about me and GMAT Wiz. Let's now get going into the session. Okay, so I've built up the tempo. I'll probably help you understand the entire test scoring in a very detailed fashion. But to set the tempo right, to take up the pace one step at a time, let's understand the basics of the GMAT algorithm. So before I say anything, I want you guys to tell me, like in the chat here, I have Shanki, Shobhit, and I'm pretty sure there are around 25 plus people who are here with me. How do you think the GMAT algorithm works? What is your understanding of the test? Let's hear it from you, guys. Okay, and I want whatever comes to your mind, whatever you know. There's no right or wrong answer to this. I'm not judging you here. The idea is to just see what is your level of, what is your understanding of how the algorithm works. Let's hear it from you guys first. I'll wait for a few comments. Let's give it another 20-30 seconds. I want to see how it works. Okay, Howda has a response. Howda says it's an adaptive test. Okay, so what is an adaptive test? How does an adaptive test work? Like, that's another question mark which comes over here. Like, how does an adaptive test really function? Okay, what about others, guys? Like, I just see one comment. Again, guys, let's make this conversational. Let's understand it in depth, and there's a lot of amazing insights that you're going to see really soon. Okay, so think of it this way. Whenever you start the test, you always start at a medium difficulty level. So let's say you are starting the test as a student. You start at the medium difficulty level. What that means is that the question which is served to you right now is somewhere around, let's say, a 650 level question. Okay, so Abhishek has a point. Based on answers we gave to different level of difficulty of questions, the test basically changes, is what you meant, Abhishek, I guess. Kimia says it's going to test you on the skills that you are probably going to need during your B schools. Okay, that's what kind of questions are tested, Kimia, but my question was more around how does it score you. It's a test which adapts itself on your answers. If you answer something right, the next question gets difficult. Very well said, CM. Very well said. Very well pointed out. And I'm showing a very simple illustration, but we will go in depth. It's not just that simply. It's something much more complex than that. But let's first understand in a simplified fashion. So you start with a medium difficulty question. If you get the question right, the next question which is served to you is slightly harder. Like, that's what most people think GMAT algorithm, this is how the GMAT algorithm works. So the next question is, let's say, a medium hard question. If you get that question right, the next question is, let's say, a hard question. Okay, so in this fashion, the difficulty level is going up. Now, if you get this question, which is a hard question, also correct, the next question which is served to you is again a hard question. And let's say if you get this wrong, the difficulty level drops down to medium hard. Okay, so out of these 5 questions that are served to this student, 3 of them he got right, 2 of them he got incorrect. So his accuracy basically is 60%. And if you look at his score, he has scored 3 points for this question because the medium question is rated 3 points, 4 points for this, and 5 points for this. So his total score is 12 points. Okay, now this is some data for you to kind of just make sense of how the algorithm works. I'm not saying this is how the algorithm exactly works. As I said, this is a simplified example. We'll go to the more complex things also, basically. But what you need to see is that 12 points with 60% accuracy. Now, let's take another student. Let's take another student who is also starting the test. He also starts with a medium level. Okay. Now, this student, instead of getting the question correct, he gets the question incorrect. Now, what will happen? GMAT will understand that, okay, the student may not have the capability of getting a medium question right. So let us give him a slightly easier question to solve. Let's give him an easy medium question to solve. Now, if he gets this question wrong also, the next question which is served to him is even easier than that, because the test feels that this person does not even have the capability of getting an easy medium question right. So the next question is an easier question. And if you get this question right, the next question which is served to you is an easy medium question. and so on. So in this fashion, the test progresses. Now, if you look at the second student as well, can you guys tell me what is the accuracy of the student? Like, it's very easy, right? 3 out of 5. So if you see, the accuracy of the student is also 60%, but he has scored 1 point here, 2 points here, and 3 points here. So he has scored 6 points. What you need to look at is that this student has scored 12 points, this student has scored 6 points. Both have the exact same accuracy. Exact same accuracy, guys. Okay, but still, there's a huge difference in the scores of the two students. Okay, so this is a simple example of how an adaptive test should work. Now, some of you might know that GMAT is adaptive, GRE is also adaptive. There are different levels of adaptiveness that exist. So GMAT is not question, like they say question level adaptive, it is question level adaptive, but it is not adapting at the end of each question. So what GMAT does is, it looks at a set of, instead of just one question, it looks at your performance in a set of 3 to 4 questions. So it looks at, okay, how are you doing in, let's say, question number 1 to question number 3? Based on how you perform, they decide whether to take your difficulty level up or down or keep it at the same level. Okay, so if you, let's say, get 100% accuracy in the first 3 questions, let's say 1 to 3, you get 100% accuracy, your difficulty level will definitely go up. But if your accuracy is between Q1 and Q3 is, let's say, anywhere between, let's say, 66% to 90%, it might go up, it might stay at the similar level as well. So it depends on what is your accuracy in a set of 3 or 4 questions, and based on that, it judges which difficulty level of question should be served to you next. Okay, so this is a simplified example that I took. Now let's take up actual scorecard. So basically, okay, so what you see on the left side of your screen is a student who has scored verbal 42. Okay, verbal 42 scored by this particular student, and he has made a total of 8 mistakes, 1 in the first quarter, 2 in the second quarter, 1 in the third quarter, and 4 in the last quarter of the test. So he has made total of 8 mistakes in the verbal section. Okay, this is enhanced scorecard, which is given by GMAT. So this is data from GMAT only. Okay, so you see a verbal 42 with 8 mistakes. On the right side, you see another student's data. This student has gotten, like he has made 5 mistakes basically. So 3 in the first quarter, 1 in the second quarter, and 1 in the third quarter. In the last quarter, the student hasn't made any mistakes at all. I want you to look at the 2 ESRs. The first person you see has scored a verbal 42. I want you to predict the verbal score of the second student. According to your understanding, whatever limited understanding you have, make a guess. What should be the verbal score of the other student? And see, the second student has scored 3 points, has made 3 mistakes less than the first student. Okay, so take a guess. I'm giving you like 30 seconds or 40 seconds to kind of come up with your answers. So make a guess and come up with your answers. Okay, less than 42. How much less than 42 cm? Pritha also says less than 42. Chessby says verbal 30s. Okay, that's a broad range. Or in the verbal 30s. Let's have a specific guess. Howda says it depends on the difficulty level of questions. Maybe less than 42, maybe more. Okay, could be both. Howda is keeping her options open. She's saying it's possible that it could be both. It depends on the difficulty level of the questions. I agree with you. Probably this data might not be enough to come to that conclusion. CM says maybe 40, expecting around 40. Okay, but you think it should be less than 40, right? Like, but you're seeing the mistakes. Like all of you focus on this part. Number of mistakes done by the second student is less than the number of mistakes done by the first student. We are not talking about just 1 or 2 mistakes less. We are talking about 3 mistakes less than the first guy. And you guys are still saying it should be less than 42. Think about it. You're making less mistakes and you expect the score to be lower, not higher. Okay, Shivang. Like I see only Shivang right now who is conclusively saying that it should be more than 42. Like Howda said it could be more, but Shivang is saying it should be 44. Okay, let's see. And trust me, guys, This is something which shocked me when I saw it for the first time. I was not able to make sense out of it initially. But when I actually went deeper into it and dig deeper, understood what is happening, I realized what is the reason why this happened. So the second student has not scored a verbal 40, not a verbal 42. The student has scored just a 34. Okay, and this is the not a doctored version of the ESR. It's an actual ESR of a student who scored a verbal 44 with just 5 mistakes. So as Howard was saying, it depends on the difficulty level of the questions. Which questions you get wrong. CM is also talking about the same thing. If you end up making a lot of mistakes in the beginning, so if you actually want to understand the right mindset of a 750 scorer, you need to ensure that you are not starting off weak. Like if you start off like poorly, you get the questions wrong in the beginning, you will end up struggling a lot. And see, some of you might think, isn't GMAT really unfair over here? Like the student has just made 5 mistakes. Come on, we are giving a verbal 34, and you look at the percentiles. This difference becomes even more glaring. Like a 96 percentile or versus a 71 percentile. Now, what really happened over here? GMAT is one of the most advanced test algorithms which is there in the world today. It is tuned in a way that it understands your skill level and it gives you the right level of questions that you can probably get right. So it also wants you to get the questions correct, and it always constantly tries to give you those questions. So let's understand, how did this guy score a verbal 42 with 8 mistakes? By the way, the ESR of this person I am showing, his name is Shreyash, and he's currently studying in Harvard. In case you want to watch his interview about how did he prepare for the GMAT and actually get to a 760 on the GMAT in his second attempt, you can always check out the story over here. I've just shared the link in the chat. You can always check out his story in depth. Okay, but now we are getting to the most complex part of the session. I'm going to try and help you understand how this data really works. Okay, so be with me, and if you don't understand anything, please feel free to ask questions. Okay, so as I said, everyone starts with a medium difficulty question in the test. Like you start off with medium difficulty level questions. So what happened with Shreyash was, and trust me guys, you will not find many people getting to this kind of a score with 8 mistakes. I've seen thousands of ESRs in my entire life. Okay, and I'm telling you from experience, you will not see people getting to verbal 42 with 8 mistakes. But this is not fluke, guys. This is proper data, proper analysis, proper hard work which this person has put into it. Let's understand how it happened. So this student also started, like everyone else, with medium difficulty questions. Now, for the sake of our discussion, a medium difficulty question, if you want to compare it, you can say it is a 650 level question. A medium hard difficulty question or medium high difficulty question, MH, is basically 700 level question. And a high difficulty level question is a 750 level question. Okay, you can keep this lingo in your mind. Okay, I'll be using this language throughout the session. So this student starts off with a medium difficulty question, and he only makes 1 mistake in quarter 1. So if you remember, I am just writing it down over here. He made 1 mistake in quarter 1, 2 mistakes in quarter 2, 1 mistake in quarter 3, and 4 mistakes in quarter 4. Okay, and there are a total of 8 questions which are considered here, 7 questions considered here, 7 considered here, and 8 considered here. So out of 36 questions in verbal, only 30 questions are scored by the GMAT. The rest of the 6 questions are unscored questions. These are experimental questions. So all the data that we get is only for this 30 scored questions. Okay, so this is the data on your screen. So he only made 1 mistake in quarter 1, that too at the medium level. Now, when he just made 1 mistake in the medium level in the entire set of 8 questions, the algorithm understood that this person is very consistent at solving medium level questions. So what would the algorithm do? They would try to test him on the next difficulty level. Now the algorithm has sure shot data, confirmed data that this guy can tackle the medium questions. So it will try to serve him harder questions to see how he performs in those questions. Okay. So what happened was the difficulty level moves to medium high in quarter 2. So you can see yourself the difficulty level actually moves to medium high. The green dot is the difficulty level of cross all questions that he got solved. So the difficulty level moved to medium high or medium high, 700 level in quarter 2. Now what this guy did was he got almost all those questions right. He gets around 5 medium hard or 700 level questions correct in quarter 2. And you need to focus on this, that all the medium hard questions which were served to him, he got all of them correct. So he showed again a very high consistency in basically his performance on medium hard questions as well. So he showed algorithm not just that he can tackle the medium questions, he also showed the algorithm that he can actually tackle the questions which are medium hard as well. Now what will happen then? The algorithm will then give him more difficult questions to test whether he has even more capability than what he's showing right now. So the algorithm now takes him to a 750 level in the quarter two itself. Okay, so I have a point from another student. I'll definitely take that up, but I'll not break this flow here. So I'll take up your question as well. Don't worry, and please post your questions as many as you want. I'm happy to take all of them. So the difficulty level now goes up to 750 level. But the student was not able to get the 750 level questions right. He made mistakes in the 750 level questions. Two mistakes at this particular level in Q2. Now, think about it. This guy has gotten a verbal 42. I'm very confident that had he gotten these two questions correct also, because then the algorithm would have kept serving him 750 level questions also, and those are the highest valued questions on GMAT, by the way. Okay, there are nothing better than that. So he makes two mistakes. That means he did not have the capability of getting the 750 level plus level questions correct. Okay, he got those questions wrong. He also makes one mistake in the 750 level question, which was served to him in Q3. And then the algorithm brings down the difficulty level back to medium hard, because the algorithm saw last time that he can probably get the medium hard questions correct. So it again gives him a chance to solve some more medium hard questions, and he makes no mistakes whatsoever in Q3 at 700 level questions. So what you need to see is that in 700 level questions till now he has not made a single mistake. Okay, because of which the next quarter again the difficulty level goes back a little higher, but he gets those questions wrong. But idea is in the next level, in the next set also, in the quarter four also, he made 4 mistakes, but those 4 mistakes did not have a significant impact on his overall score. Basically, it did not play a significant role. He still got a verbal 42, because in the performance he was very consistent with the 700 level questions. Now if I just break this data down and I just like write down some numbers on the screen. So in the first quarter he got 7 medium level questions right. Okay, in the second quarter he got 5 medium hard level questions correct and 2 hard questions wrong. Okay, in the third quarter he got 6 medium hard questions correct and 1 hard question wrong. Okay, and then in the last quarter he got 4 medium hard questions correct and 4 medium hard questions wrong. Okay, now if I combine all this data, try to just create a table out of it and see what is the accuracy in different difficulty levels. And this is the most important table I wanted to come to. I wanted you to understand how this data translates to this table. Okay, and you'll never see this table given to you by the GMAT, by the way. Okay, so this particular person, actually at the 650 level or the medium level, his accuracy is close to 90%. He got 7 out of 8 questions correct at that level. And he got 5 medium hard, 6 medium hard, 4 medium hard correct. So total is 15 out of 19 medium hard questions. So he got almost 80% accuracy in medium hard level questions, which is 700 level questions. And in 750 level questions, his accuracy was 0%. All right, try to just let this data sink in a bit, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me, and I will love to know if you are able to understand this data. Like if you are able to understand this data, say a yes. This is very complex data, but I've tried to simplify it as much as possible. So if you have understood this data, say a yes. If you have not, then say a no. So Chinmay saying verbal 42 is how much percentile? That's 96 percentile, Chinmay. I'll take up question of Uladu Pakora. She's saying, I think understanding this won't help anyone, because when the clock starts ticking, we'll have limited time to attempt all the questions, and no one will plan to do all the questions right in the start or the end. That's not the right way to think, to be honest with you. Whether the clock is ticking or not, you need to give your best to the question which is there. You cannot plan to get a question right and get it right. It doesn't work that way. You have to prepare for it. See, all this I'm telling you guys is to kind of understand the right test taking strategy. There is a lot that comes before the test taking. Okay, you have to ensure that you prepare in the right way. You cannot make the questions, you cannot start on the wrong foot. If you start on the wrong foot, you end up messing up your score. basically. And you have seen a student who has scored a verbal 34 by starting on the wrong foot. But I agree with you on this part that you cannot plan to get a question right and get it right. That is for sure. If you don't have the capability, you don't have the capability. And that is what I'm coming to. I'm bringing ourselves to that particular point, that what do you need to get to a 750? You need the capability to get 700 level questions correct consistently. Okay, how does it, if he hasn't answered any 750 level right, doesn't that mean his score is 750 is because of his quant score? No, his quant score is quant 50 and verbal score is 42. The percentile of verbal is higher than quant. See, what you need to understand, I'm using 750 level as a term over here. 750 level questions are served to you when you have crossed the 750 level already. When you are moving towards the 800 level. Think of it this way, okay? 700 level questions are served to you in a way to kind of understand whether, like, you're already at 700 plus level. Then if you can consistently maintain yourself at that stage, you will always get 700 plus. And this will get more clear to you how to, as we go to the next slides. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. So the 750 level scorers mindset basically is, if you want to get to this level, you have to target 100% accuracy on easy and medium questions. Okay, so we'll definitely show ESR of other people as well. Don't worry about that. We have a lot of ESRs with us, so we can definitely show you more. And I've covered those ESRs multiple times. Okay, so 100% accuracy is what you need to strive for in easy and medium questions. That's one. That's point number one. But it doesn't end here. If you want a 750 on GMAT on medium hard level questions, which is basically, let me translate this to understanding. As I said, this is 700 plus level questions. If you want a 750 plus on GMAT, you need 70 to 80% accuracy in them. You need that. And it's not just this ESR. I've looked at multiple ESRs. So this data, this table that you see on the bottom is data taken for multiple people who have scored 40, 41, 42. Like, there are 3 different scores I have taken, and I have shown you here the number of medium questions these people have gotten correct and the number of medium hard questions these people have gotten correct. And if you see, these are tallying very, very closely to what Shreyas has gotten. So anyone who wants to score a 750 or more needs to have a very, very high accuracy on medium hard questions. So if you want to get to this level, you have to ensure 100% accuracy in easy and medium, and also 70 to 80% accuracy in hard questions. Okay, so if I summarize what happened, again, I'm just taking these 3 difficulty levels: medium, medium, hard, and hard. In Q1, when this student started, he started with a medium level question. In medium level questions, he got himself to medium hard. He stayed in the medium hard zone consistently, and he got almost everything correct in the medium hard zone, basically. He also got to the hard level once or twice. So anyone who wants to get to this level, they will be served with hard questions also. He got a few hard questions, he got them wrong. Had he gotten those hard questions correct, had he stayed in the hard zone also for a long time, slightly longer period of time in the GMAT, then he would have probably scored a 770, 780, 790, who knows that. So you can cross 42, Chinmay. There are many GMAT students who have scored 44 as well on the test. It's not like you can't cross 42. Verbal 51 is also possible, by the way. But these are rare scores. Verbal 42 is also a rare score. So what you need to understand is that this guy stayed in the medium high zone, medium high level itself. He didn't come back to the medium level ever. And he sometimes went to the hard level as well, but main thing which was important in his case was that he's doing well on 700 level questions, that too consistently. The word consistently is very, very important. Okay, guys. Now, if any one of you has their ESR, they want our help to analyze the ESR and help you help in understanding how to take their score to the next level, feel free to reach out to me. I've shared the link in the chat. I'll be happy to guide you on that particular aspect, basically. And I see a comment from Vaishnavi, how to start as a fresher, please help me as new. So Vaishnavi, I have done sessions on how to start your GMAT preparation as well on GMAT Club as well as GMAT Wiz channel. I'll try to see if I can get the link for you and share it with you. But yeah, you can search for GMAT Wiz, how to start GMAT prep, and those videos will pop up to you for sure. Okay, so what you need to understand is that this student stayed in the medium hard level, and this line that you see over here, doing well on 700 level questions consistently, is the key. Now let's look at another ESR. Okay, now you see this ESR. This person has scored a verbal 37. Again, I've just taken verbal ESRs for the sake of simplicity, that we can actually compare the different use cases over here. Okay, now, as one of you was saying that you cannot just plan to get a certain type of question right. I totally agree on that. I totally agree on that. Even if you do so, let's say for example, this particular student probably analyzed the entire thing, and she felt that, you know what, I can just nail the GMAT by starting off sharply, strongly. So started off with 100% accuracy in the first quarter. Great job. What happened? She was able to jump from medium to medium hard questions right away. Like the difficulty level went to medium hard. But since she did not have the capability of getting the medium hard questions right, you see the accuracy levels considerably dropped when she was in the medium hard zone. And then the test brought her back to medium level. In fact, the questions that she was getting right was always medium only. Okay, she was only able to get the medium questions right. She was not able to get the harder questions right. You can see on the red line is basically the ones that she has gotten incorrect. So if you are thinking that, okay, in order to score 750 plus on GMAT, it's just good enough for me to just focus on the hard, like the first 7-8 questions, I will be in the medium hard zone, then all is done. It's not that way. It doesn't work that way. Verbal 37 is similar to someone who is in the score range of 700 to 750, basically. So if you are in the score range of 700 to 750, you are not consistently getting the medium hard questions right. You are making mistakes in the medium hard questions as well. That is something which is happening with you, and that is what I will show now. So if you are scoring 700 to 750, or someone who is scoring 700 to 750, where are they? What is that they are doing? They are also starting with medium questions. They are doing well in the medium questions. As I showed you an example. I showed you an example of that student who was in the similar range, started off well, got the medium questions right. But when it goes to medium hard questions, they get some questions right, some questions wrong, some questions right, some questions wrong. So since there is no consistency in the performance in this level of this at this level of questions, what happens is that they stay stuck in the medium hard level. They never go to the hard level. In fact, they are not even able to score well on those questions, basically. So you get served questions which are high value, but since you do not have the capability of getting those questions right, or you're not getting those questions right, you stay in this range, but you don't end up scoring well. The problem with people who are in the 700 to 750 range, any one of you who is in this range right now and looking at breaking the range and getting to 750, 760, the problem with you is inconsistency on 700 level questions. You're not consistent. You're probably stuck in the last two choices in 700 level questions. You are not confident about the answers that you're marking. And that's why you never ever even get to this hard level, which is the 750 level. You don't get any questions over here. And the problem overall with your case is right now that your methods are not fine-tuned. The methods that you're using to solve questions are not the best methods possible. Like you are probably like using probably a right method, but using it only to 70-80% level. You need to have that finer tuning of those methodologies to get to that target score. Okay, guys, are you able to relate to all of this? Is this ESR, is this score range clear to all of you? Any questions around the score range? Please feel free to ask me if there is any question around the score range. Shivangi is asking, will you be showing quant ESR analysis? So I do show a lot of quant ESRs also. So there is another webinar that I have done. It's on test taking, like GMAT algorithm, GMAT adaptive algorithm strategy or test taking strategy. In this, I have actually covered a lot of quant related things as well. So you can definitely watch this webinar. Some things you will find similar, but most of it, what I'm doing today is completely new. A lot of unseen data which I've never shown to users or and never analyzed it in this level, because this is very, very complex information which I've tried to simplify. So thank you, Howda and Chinmay, letting me know that all of it is clear. So what you need to understand is, and I'm not just basing my judgment on one data point. I've looked at like thousands of ESRs, as I've told you already. You look at the data points which I've shown on the screen. I've taken into account data point of verbal 36 scorers, 38 scorers also, multiple of them, and you will always see them getting not that many medium hard questions right. And if you compare, the number of medium questions that they are getting correct is very similar to the person who was scoring 750 plus. That is similar. But what is happening with them is that they are not able to get the medium hard questions correct consistently. They are making more errors in the medium hard level of questions, basically. So if you want to break this barrier, first of all, if you want to just reach a 700 plus, you will at least need to get here. So what I'm asking here is, if you remember, in 700 level, we said we need to get 100% on easy medium questions, easy and medium questions basically, and 70-80% in hard questions. In this case, if you want to reach to this level, you can reach to this level with 50 to 60% accuracy also on medium hard, or let's say 700 level questions. Okay, but at least you need to have 50-60% accuracy to reach this level. All right, now let's understand, what does a score of 650 to 700 then signify? Okay, so again, the scores are changing significantly. I'm dropping the scores by 50 points, but till now the only change happened was in the performance in the hardest difficulty level. Like the accuracy required in the hardest difficulty level just came down a bit. But now what happens? So to analyze this data on the difficulty chart, on the table chart over here, let's first look at some data from the table. Like I've just shown you data for people who score around 650 to 700. Their verbal scores are generally in the range of 32, 33, 34, 35, in this range basically. So if you see this data, medium questions correct and medium hard questions correct, can you guys tell me what is happening with these people? Which zone are these people in? Again, I've tried to explain complex data, but let's see if any one of you has developed that insight to kind of figure out from this table what was the difficulty level chart performance for these people. What is the trend for these people? If you remember, the trend for 750 scorers and 700 scorers are similar. They start with medium, they move to medium hard, and they stay in medium hard mostly. The difference is 750 level students get all of the medium hard questions correct. 700 level students make some mistakes, basically. That's the only difference. So this is the trend chart for 700 and 750 level students. What is the trend chart for other students? Again, possibly the screen was not visible to you. So what I was saying was that people who actually are in 750 plus range, wait a second. Okay, so they start with medium, but they go to medium hard very soon, and they stay in that range. What is the guess for this particular case, guys? Okay, great work, Atul. Atul has shared a thought about this, and I'm really happy to hear this from you, Atul, that it starts with medium, stays with medium. I would say very, very close, Atul. I would say it's very, very close. But this particular student starts with medium, goes to medium hard, and comes back to medium. So Chinmay is saying medium, medium hard, medium, medium. Multiple possibilities are there, to be honest with you. Multiple possibilities are there. Just one of them I will show you over here. So what happens with these people is that if you see the number of medium hard questions these people are getting correct, it is in 10 plus number of questions. What this means is it is not just happening in one quarter. They are in the medium level range in multiple quarters. So in the first quarter, they generally do well. They start well. They get to the medium hard range. But here, most of the questions they get wrong. They have 50% accuracy or less than 50% accuracy in the medium hard questions. And that's when the algorithm feels that they cannot get the 700 level questions. So let's not let's give them 700 level questions. Let's give them easier questions to test their skills. So what it does is it brings them back to the medium level once again. And when they are back to the medium level, they again get most of the questions right. So probably they go back again to the medium level, hard level, but again they end up getting questions wrong, and they are again brought back to the medium level towards the end. So what happens is these people are oscillating between medium and medium hard questions. So it could be medium, then medium hard, then medium hard, and then medium again, or it could be medium, medium, then medium hard, then medium. So multiple combinations are possible, but their average difficulty level stays around medium only. Like they are not able to score in the medium hard range. What does this data signify? This data signifies that you are actually, these people who are getting this score range of 650 to 700, they're actually lucky on the 700 level questions. The 700 level questions that they're getting right, they're simply lucky on them. They are stuck in last two choices in most of the cases, and they're simply lucky on the harder questions. They are not getting them right because of proper reason, because otherwise they will be consistent in them. So that is the case with them. and they don't even get to a 750 level ever. Their methodology is something which needs to change significantly, because the methodology is not the best possible methodology that can be used to solve the hardest questions. So their methods are not tuned for hard questions. Their methods are mainly meant for easy and medium questions. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. I'll just take them up. How does this? Can you please confirm the difficulty level of the following? Medium is 650 to 700. Yes. Medium hard is 700 to 750. Hard is 750 plus. And I'm just going by the GMAT lingo, which GMAT uses. Okay. What happens if a scorer gets 2 out of 3 hard right, but some medium hard wrong? I struggle with SC. So again, Matthew, what you need to understand is, unless you get the medium hard right, you won't get to the hard level. It goes in that sequence. So if you are struggling with SC, at least you need to build a capability in SC to a level where you can get the medium hard questions correct. Then only you will be able to get to the hard levels. Unless you are lucky on the test day that you don't at all get a SC question in medium hard level, that's a different thing. But what you need to understand is that to reach here, you need to pass these two levels. Basically, it won't directly jump from medium to medium hard. It will go in a stage by stage fashion. Understood. So people who are getting 650 to 700, for them, in easy questions, their accuracy is probably easy 100%. In medium questions, their accuracy is about 70 to 80%. And in medium hard questions or 700 level questions, their accuracy drops to about 30% or so, basically. So this is what is happening if you're in this score range. So the mindset or the person who is getting to this score in the actual test, they are only able to score this level. Okay, I'll just take out the banner for GMAT Club for once. So, like you can see the different difficulty level wise performance. Okay, and guys, if you are actually finding this session helpful, I told you guys I have a target of getting to 100 likes in this session, and if you get 100 likes, I'll bring some more interesting facts about the algorithm, how it really works, and how it changes your preparation strategy. I'll definitely bring more videos. So do keep giving it the likes, all the likes there, and I will love to see your comments as well over here. So please feel free to like and comment on this video. I'll be happy to see so. Okay, is it true that the first 10 questions are crucial in determining which questions the algorithm gives you subsequently? Yes, Felix, that is happening. It's not just the first 10. The other ones are also important. So if you saw, what we discussed was that the students who are getting 650 level, they are oscillating between medium, medium high, and this way. Students who are getting 700 plus are actually having consistency in medium hard level questions. Like they are consistently in medium hard level. So how you start the first 10 definitely determines what are the next questions that you get, but the next questions are also important. You should not just worry about the first 10 questions. And I showed an example, if you remember, the student who was in a 700 plus zone but not in 750 level zone, how she actually did not do well in the second and third quarter. Okay, could you translate 700 or 650 level or 750 to V47 or V45? Okay, let me do the translation also. So think of it this way that, again, 750 is something, think of it this way that 750 is something which is comparable to a V40 plus and a Quant 50 plus, basically. If you get this kind of scores, then you get to 750. 700 is something which is comparable to something like V37 to 40. Combined with a Q, again, there are multiple combinations possible. I'm just talking about one of these combinations. Okay, 600 to 650 to 700 will basically mean verbal 33 to kind of 36 and quant 46 to 47, I would say. 600 basically would mean that verbal score of less than 30, I would say, like 32 or less basically, and quant score of 45 or less. Okay, so that's something which is how I'm looking at it. So this is from a perspective of, let's say, like translation. So the point to take away is try to build accuracy in first 3 quarters with maximum effort. Let's say if you're able to build this accuracy, you can guess a little bit in the last quarter. You can. But I'll come to the point to take away as well over here. So what happens in the 600 to 650 scorer? So if you look at their scorecard, like their performance, I've taken some data points over here for different score ranges. What you will see is that they are only getting the medium questions, right? They're never even getting into the medium hard range. So most of them get the medium questions, some of the medium questions wrong also. So they go back to easy medium level, get them right, come back to medium level, get some questions right, some wrong. So what is happening with these people is that they stay throughout the test they stay in the medium level. They mostly never go to the medium hard level at all. They never go to that. And even in the medium level questions, they are inconsistent. Basically, they are inconsistent in medium level questions. They don't get to 700 level questions ever. Their methodology is flawed, and their conceptual knowledge also needs some rework as well. Okay, so let's summarize what is the test taking mindset that you need to have. All right, so let's summarize that as well. So if you are in the 600 range, it generally means 600 level. It generally means 600 to 650 level basically. For people who want to get to this level, even if you're inconsistent in medium questions, you can get there. So people who are get in this level, they are inconsistent even with medium questions. So I'm not saying you're poor in medium questions, you're inconsistent basically. If you're in the 650 to 700 level, you're consistent in medium questions, but you're weak in hard questions. You're not getting hard questions correct. If you are in the 700 level range, 700 to 750 level range, you are consistent in medium questions, but you are inconsistent in hard questions. And if you are in the 750 level range, you are consistent in both medium and hard level questions. You have aced the test completely. Okay, so that is something which is there, which is what you need to understand. Now, what does this actually mean in terms of skills? In terms of skills, if you're at a 600 level, you only have 70 to 80% holdover concepts. Like around out of all the concepts that are tested on GMAT, you understand 70 to 80% of them to a decent level. You need to work on the rest of the concepts as well. People who are in the second range, they have 100% hold over the concepts. They know all the concepts very, very well. Their problem is with the methodologies. Their methodologies are weak, and in most cases, either there is no proper methodology that they abide by, or the methodology is mostly shortcut based. It's like using shortcuts to solve questions, and the problem with shortcuts is the shortcuts will work with easy medium questions, and that's why you are consistent in them. But shortcuts do not work on hard questions at all. They don't work on hard questions. So your methodologies need to change if you are in the score range of 650 to 700. And again, I've tried to generalize a lot of things here. There are obviously different use cases in all the score ranges as well, but I've tried to give a generalized representation of which is true for more than 80% people in this score range. But in case you want to have more personalized advice in terms of understanding why are you where you are and how to improve your score from there, feel free to reach out to our team. I've just shared the link in the chat. Here you can reach out to our team using this link, and we'll be happy to help you in understanding where are you going wrong and how to take your score to the next level. Okay, guys. So if you are in the 650 level range, you are weak in your methods are weak. You need to improve your methods. If you are in the 700 range, on the other hand, you have a good holdover concept. So this part is basically similar. In methodologies, your methodologies are also decent. They are not weak. You know the right methods. You have come to a level where you have an understanding of the right methods, but you're not using them to the same level as you should. So there is a lot of scope of fine tuning which is there in your methods. You don't need to change your methods. People who are in the 650 level range, they have to change their methods basically. These people have to fine tune their methods, and people in 600 range have to develop a method basically, and also work on some concepts, basically the weak concepts. Okay, so this is how the mindset basically differs, and someone who is at a 750 level definitely has already been in a position where they can actually get to the most difficult level questions also. Correct. Okay, so any questions till this point, guys? If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Now I'll move to the pacing part of things. Now this is about the algorithm. This is about the scoring, how it works, what is the actual reason why you probably get to a score. And I've tried my best to explain it. You will not get this information anywhere on the internet that easily. It is a lot of hard work which has been put into kind of identify all this information through ESRs. So I've tried to do my best. I know it's very complex, and I know some of you might have find it a lot of overload of information as well. But I hope some of you were able to at least understand this. So do let me know if it was easy for you guys to understand how the entire scoring works. I'll be happy to hear some feedback from you guys. And never try to do this in a webinar because I always felt that this is very complex information. But overall, what you need to understand is that this is the difference in different skill sets of different people. Now, how do you pace yourself during the test? During the test, With the right pacing, you can probably have a significant difference in your overall score, in your overall performance in the test. If you actually do the right pacing, you can actually get to a much better score on the test. Now, what does pacing basically mean? So pacing has three different elements to it. You have to pace each quarter correctly. Each quarter has its importance. You have to pace each of them correctly, and it is very important that you pause under pressure. If you are feeling anxious during the test, make sure that you pause. Many people make a mistake that if they're anxious, they don't pause. They just continue with the same flow without realizing that they are committing a grave mistake by just working under pressure. Because if you're working under pressure, you'll not be able to give your 100% to the test and you will make mistakes. Trust me, guys, that will happen. Now, what are the different pacing strategies that people follow? Again, I focus here mostly on verbal, but similar thing is important for quant as well. So many people follow a linear pacing strategy where they say, okay, you know what, I have 65 minutes for the test. So what I'll do is I'll give equal amount of time to each of these quarters, 16 minutes to each of them. That's one pacing strategy. The other pacing strategy which people have, and some of you might be thinking about it right now, is that, you know what, I need to get the first few questions right. So let's start heavy. So start heavy strategy says you give good 20-25 minutes to the first quarter. Second quarter also you give 20-25 minutes. Then there is no time left for you for the last two quarters. You don't have the luxury to do that either. So what is the right pacing strategy? The right pacing strategy is to take every quarter on its merit. We recommend that in verbal, the first quarter should be something you should complete in about 14 minutes, because the questions here are medium level questions basically. The second quarter might take you up to 16 to 17 minutes to do, because the questions here get slightly more difficult if you do it well. Here in the third quarter, the questions will again become medium hard to hard. You will get more difficult questions. So you should spend about good 19 to 20 minutes over here as well, like 18 to 19 minutes, I would say. And whatever time is left, like even if you are left with 10 questions, 10 minutes, just do 5 or 6 questions selectively, properly, and the rest of them you should guess and move forward. Never leave questions unattempted on GMAT. They are penalized more heavily than getting the questions wrong. Make sure that you actually attempt all the questions, but whatever time is left, you are just giving it to limited questions and getting them right. The rest of the questions you should basically just guess in the last 30 seconds, but don't try to equally distribute time across questions. Okay, now let me help you understand how important this strategy is by taking up a case in point. And this is one case in point I really love to talk about, because this is something which happened with me on my testing. Okay, now with all the learnings that you have developed around the test taking and everything, I want you to take all that learning into perspective here, apply that here, and let me know what your decision will be. But let me help you understand the case first. So when I was reaching the end of the test, like towards the end of the verbal section, I saw that on the clock only had 19 minutes left, and I had 14 questions to attempt. So if you do a calculation, you will understand that I had less than 1.5 minutes per question. Okay, almost 1 minute 20-25 seconds per question. And I had a RC passage right in front of me. I spent, obviously I went in a lot of pressure in that situation when I saw just 19 minutes with 14 questions left. I felt that I have very less time available with me, so I started reading the passage very quickly. Like in the first para, I spent about 30-40 seconds reading it, and I was not able to understand a lot. Like it was a very weird passage, very convoluted language that was being used, and I was stuck. What should I do? I had three choices in front of me uh, to kind of go about this test. That one, that I could skip some of the questions or do them half-heartedly. The second choice was I could do this RC well and be selective in the last 10 questions. And the third one was to skip the passage and focus on getting the last 10 questions right, basically. So if you are in my situation, try to imagine that you are in my situation. You have 14 questions to be done, and you have 19 minutes. In fact, right now I have already eaten half a minute uh, on reading the first para. What will you do in this case? What will you do in this case? I would like to hear your thoughts over here, guys. So please feel free to share your thoughts. I know that this is something which is so please feel free to share your thoughts. Which choice will you go for, A, B, or C? Which choice will you go for? A, B, or C? Let's hear it from you. Still don't have any comments. Try to imagine yourself in the same situation. Okay, Howda has some questions. Let me read them out. I think one shouldn't focus on the time because that will only cause anxiety. Every time you look at the clock, you think if you take enough marks, then you will be able to manage the time without having to worry about time. Very good point, Howda. I really completely agree with you. That's an important lesson. Uh, most people don't understand that. Most people don't relate to it. But trust me, if you just prepare yourself in the right way, you won't need to look at the clock. You'll be able to actually get the questions right in the right amount of time. And that's one thing which I have actually recommended a lot of people to do. In fact, even today we had a student who had 4 failed attempts on the GMAT. He was not able to cross the 700 score in any of those 4 attempts. His highest score was a 700. In fact, his score started dipping below 700 in the next attempts. But we worked together on his performance. He was struggling with verbal primarily. He worked on his verbal skills, and then we worked on the test taking strategy. And today he was able to score a 740 on the GMAT. Okay, and he had been preparing for the GMAT for almost 2 years for his first 4 attempts. You can imagine the kind of pain that it takes to kind of prepare for GMAT for 2 years and not seeing a score of 700 plus. But if you do it right, if you understand where you're going wrong and you understand that algorithm well, you can actually get a high score. So he has scored a 740 today. Very, very happy with his score and definitely gonna apply to his dream B scores and possibly get there as well. Okay, so I have 3 responses. Chinmay says I'll go for B. Diago and Howda saying I'll go for E. So again, I'll tell you why I went for one of these choices and why you should like think in that particular way. I'll just tell you that okay, go with A, B, or C. I evaluated my situation at that time during the test. So what I did was I had already spent, as I told you earlier, I had already spent 30 seconds out of this on reading the passage, first para. I did not understand it. So that was wasted time. At that moment, what I did was I took a 20-second break. I left my pen and paper on the table itself. I leaned back on my chair and I started evaluating the situation. I started thinking about the situation. That helped me in A, calming my nerves down. It also helped me to come to the right decision. It also gave me the time to think about the right decision. So what I did was I thought, okay, if I go with choice A, then what is happen? What's going to happen? Okay, so let's understand that. Now think about it. I was someone who was a prepared test taker. What I mean by prepared test taker was that I was scoring well in my mocks. I knew that if I feel something is convoluted or complex, it is complex in real sense. So take this data point into account that I have a hard RC patches in front of me. So if I have a hard RC patches in front of me, what that means is that the first 22 questions I'm already done with 22 questions. I have 14 questions left. So on the first 22 questions, I have done very, very well. Till now, I have done very, very well. So if I go with strategy A or strategy C, which is like skipping the entire passage. Now, none of you mentioned C, by the way. But if I go with strategy A, what I'm doing is I'm putting all my hard work to waste. I've put in a lot of hard work right now to get to a level where the algorithm has now given me real hard questions. And if I get these hard questions wrong, what will happen is that it's not just that I'm actually getting this high value questions wrong. Not just getting these high value questions wrong, I'm saving time for questions which are going to be of lower value. Because obviously, if I get these questions wrong, these high value questions wrong, the algorithm will throw me back to the medium level once again. Are you understanding this point? A quick yes no in the chat will help if you're understanding this point. So what I'm doing is I'm sacrificing high value questions for low value questions. That would be really foolish of me, because if I do that, then I'll be trading off something which is cheaper for something. Like it's like trading off gold for silver. I have gold with me and I'm trading it off for silver. It's like that. Okay, you don't do that, right? That's not sensible. So I felt that if I go ahead with this strategy, I will probably end up scoring lower. And if I look back, had I gone ahead with this strategy, my verbal score would have been in the range of 36 to 37. I predict it will be mostly around verbal 38. I would have probably scored around verbal for 38 based on all the ESRs that I have looked at today. Basically, that would have been my score. My actual score was a verbal 41. And which strategy did I go with? I went with strategy B. And just to give you an idea, guys, it's easy to say, but in reality, it's difficult to do it on the day of the test. Think about it, guys. I had 19 minutes left. Okay. So I had spent 30 seconds on reading, which was a waste of time. I spent 20 seconds or 30 seconds on pausing, thinking about what needed to do, but this was a very good investment of time. Then I spent 5 minutes on reading the paragraph properly. I read the passage properly, and it took me another 3 minutes to answer 4 questions. So if you see, I had 14 questions. I just did 4 questions out of this. If you subtract this time, I was left with 10 questions and 10 minutes. Okay, 10 questions and 10 minutes. But the good thing was, I got all 4 questions correct. I got all 4 of those RC questions correct. So what happened was, I got this. Sorry for that, guys. Just speaking at the loudest I could. Really feeling energetic about this. So I got the high value questions right, because of which the next set of questions which were served to me were for of even higher value. So I'm not just getting the high value questions right. I'm making the algorithm serve me harder questions. So whatever 10 questions I had, I just selected 6 questions out of these 10, and I just spent my energy on these 6 questions trying to get them right. And the rest 4 questions I just marked randomly. As simple as that. And my verbal score was a 40. Okay, guys. And just to tell you, I made 7 mistakes in the entire test. I scored a verbal 41. You have seen, like in my last quarter, my accuracy was 62%. You have seen Shreyash, who had an accuracy of 50% in the last quarter, still had a verbal 42. So I hope you understand the difference here, guys. Okay. And if you are seeing value from the session, give it a like. Let's achieve the 100 like goal. I'll be happy to see that like from you guys. Okay. As a point, I have a point from Pranay. But an RC has 3-4 questions. Getting 2-3 wrong in a single go would impact the score quite a bit. Is that correct? Yes, Pranay, that is true. And the reverse of it is also true. Getting 3-4 questions correct back to back will also impact your score positively. So definitely what I'm saying here is something which matters, which depends on how good or bad you are in RCs. Obviously, if RC is not your strength, probably you cannot go with this strategy. But if RC is not your strength, probably you're not ready for the 750 yet either. So you have to make sure that you work on the weaknesses before you get to the test day. But what I wanted to talk about over here was how can you maximize your performance on the test. Then these are small decisions, and what you need to focus on is that 20-second pause, that 20-second strategic pause that I took was the actual difference between I scoring a 700 versus I scoring a 740 on the actual test. That 20-second could have changed the entire game. Had I panicked, I might have ended up with a 700, might have to retake the GMAT. Understood? Thank you, Jose. I hope you found the session helpful. That's why you're saying thank you here. So all the best. Move on, and definitely if you want to watch any part of the session recording, you can always watch it on GMAT Club channel. Okay, so that was the main difference, the strategy was. But one thing, I'm just coming to the close of the session. Again, I cover generally in my test taking strategy session, I cover a lot of different areas of the test taking, which I have not covered today simply because I wanted to talk more about something around the scoring, which is a very complex element. I try to explain you that. So if you want to see a continuation of this and a lot of other things around the algorithm, do check out this webinar. It is like a continuation of this thing itself, where I take up multiple enhanced scorecards from quant. I take up a lot of questions around how much time should you be giving to each quarter, what should your quant timing strategy be, or verbal timing strategy be. You will be able to find all of it in this webinar. Okay. Okay, Pranay has a question. Also, the algorithm throws harder questions based on previous quarter, or is it adaptive from one question to another? So, Pranay, I'm not sure if you were there from the beginning of the session, but I told in the beginning of the session that it's not dependent on just one question. It is dependent on the last 3 or 4 questions. So, obviously, it is also dependent on the previous quarters in a way, because where you are right now is dependent on what you did earlier. So, think of it this way, that if you came from medium to medium hard, right now you're at a medium hard, so the next level of questions is dependent on this questions. Whether you get a hard question or whether you stay at medium hard, whether you go back to medium, is dependent on this set of questions, but it is also dependent on these ones, how you performed on this ones. Because if you did not perform well over here, you would never come to medium hard in the first place. So your next set of questions are not just dependent on your current It is actually dependent on the current, which is in turn dependent on the previous ones. Okay, I hope that answers your question. And guys, if any one of you wants to discuss about your test taking, like a little more like around the GMAT preparation strategy, do feel free to reach out to me on this link. I'll just share a link to kind of schedule a time on my calendar. If you want to connect with me, understand how our team GMAT Risk can help you understand the test better, prepare for the test better, feel free to reach out. Okay. Yes, Pranay, I totally understand. If you're joined late, you probably did miss that part. So just check out the recording, like previous part of it, so that you can understand those things. I've covered those examples as well. Now, one important thing you have to understand is I have talked about timing here. I have talked about pacing a little bit here. But what you need to understand is that you cannot work on the pacing in the day of, like, you cannot work on the timing. You can work on your pacing on the day of the test, that how much time am I going to spend on which question, but you cannot optimize your timing during the test. That okay, I will get this question right in 1.5 minutes. You can either get it right or either solve it in 1.5 minutes. You can't achieve both on the day of the test. To do that, to get a question right in 1.5 minutes, you need to optimize your time taken to solve questions during your practice phase of learning, not during your mocks. You should not do it while the mocks. Mocks is for execution of the strategies that you have developed. So if you have learned a specific style of solving questions, if that style of solving questions is taking you extra time, then it will still take you extra time on the day of the mock. You cannot expect yourself to follow a completely new approach, a radical approach on the day of the test, and somehow get a reduced timing with high accuracy. That won't happen. You have to change your approach during your practice phase. So if you are struggling with the timing, then you have to identify what are your core timing issues. Is it because you are conceptually weak? For example, it's possible that you are having conceptual issues in some type of questions, like for example, in bold-faced questions in critical reasoning, or permutation combination questions in word problems, or comparison-related questions in sentence correction. Specific type of questions you are taking extra time, then you have to work on concepts. Then you have to go back to those concepts. And for this, an error log will really, really help you. And again, if you're a GMAT student, the platform automatically maintains an error log. You don't have to even worry about that at all. Or the other reason why your timing could be poor could be application related or method related. You can look at it as method of solving question. Now, if you have application related issues, the timing will be poor for entire module. What I mean by module basically is, let's say, sentence correction, critical reasoning, reading comprehension, number properties, algebra, geometry. These are modules basically. So if you are taking extra time in critical reasoning questions in general or sentence correction questions in general, that means that your approach towards solving sentence correction questions or critical reasoning questions in general is flawed. That is what you need to work on. Just working on the concepts again or doing more questions is not going to help you improve your score magically. You have to ensure that you target that particular module itself and work on a proper methodology to solving questions. Okay, so make sure that you work on a timing in real time before actually going to the mock stage or solving questions during the mock directly. Okay, so that's about it from my end for the session. I wanted to keep it very short, very simple, keep it conversational. I expected more interaction with you guys, but I understand that the topic was very complex today. But if you have any questions around the algorithm or your preparation, you can feel free to ask me now. I'm opening it up for an open-ended Q&A. And as I said, I've done a detailed session on the entire GMAT algorithm and multiple other angles of it. So do watch out this, watch this recording as a continuation of the current session. That will help you to kind of build more perspective. But instead of doing a 2-hour session, I felt that, okay, let's add some new content to this 1-hour session where we get to know the algorithm, scoring, and everything in depth. And other things which I've already covered in a webinar, you can always watch using this thing. Okay, so if you have any questions, guys, feel free to ask me. I'm more than happy to take up your questions around anything. And if you want to check out our amazing platform which uses AI to personalize your learning, please feel free to do so using this link. I've shared it here in the chat. You guys can use that or feel free to connect with me. Okay, how does is my personal experience aside from concepts and methods? I feel that how much I'm able to focus dictates how I manage my time. So that is true. That is definitely true. So how the what I've focused on here are basically the technical skills that you need to develop. Like you need to have conceptual and methodical skills, but your soft skills, your general management skills, time management skills are also important. You need to have a lot of focus during the test. You should not think about 10 different things. You should not think about the last question. You should focus on the current one. You should manage your anxiety well. All those things are very, very true. In fact, I would go to the extent of saying that GMAT is not just the capability of your test, test of your capability, but it is also a test of your anxiety management, your endurance, basically, your patience. So you have to be very, very sharp when you are taking the test. That's important. Okay, Chinmay says, I have a question regarding free trial. How many days is this free trial, and do we get to see and do the whole course, or some of it is locked? So Chinmay, basically in GMAT with free trial, you get access to 7 to 8% of our course content. The rest of it is basically logged. So ideally, someone who is doing that free trial completely, if you want to exhaust the 7 to 8% of our course content, that can be done in about 2 weeks, 10 to 15 days of effort, basically. But we don't put a time limit basically on the trial. What we do is we put a limit on the content. So you can only access some files, but we have given you access of topics from all different areas: sentence correction, critical reasoning, RC, number properties, algebra, geometry. So there's a lot of there are a lot of things that you can actually explore. You have a free mock test also in the free trial. Any suggestions or recommendations to improve focus? Okay, so there are multiple methods to do that. How one is to not study a lot. What many people do is they cut down on their time to sleep and they focus more on study. That is something you should not do. Second thing, to improve your focus, also start living your dream. Try to interact with alumni from the B schools that you want to go to. If possible, visit the B school personally. See how the B school is, the campus is. Strengthen your reason of doing an MBA. Strengthen your goal. If you strengthen that, your focus also improves. The third way to do it is doing meditation. So you can do meditation, just focus, and that is something which can also help you in improving the focus overall. Okay. So guys, again, I don't see any other questions, but if you have any other questions, you have my contact details on the screen. You can always shoot me an email on piyush@gmatquiz.com, and I've also shared my WhatsApp number. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions. And I hope this session was helpful. You guys were able to relate to a lot of complex information today. I hope this was something which was a test. I was thinking of doing it for a long time, but I was also contemplating always whether I should do it. Probably I can still deliver it better than how I did it today, but there's definitely a lot of great insights that you can actually learn from this session. So go through the recording, check it out, check it again. It will help you in understanding what the algorithm is actually doing to actually understand where you are today. Okay, and there are a lot of other videos that we have done on the strategy for preparing for GMAT and all. So please feel free to check out our YouTube channel, GMAT Viz YouTube channel, and a lot of sessions I've done on GMAT Club as well to learn more about the strategies and all. Okay, so thank you so much guys for being here today, and do give it a like if you really found this session helpful, and share it with your friends. Thank you so much guys, all the best.